3, 2, 1. Let's go! Yes, I am the host of the PBE podcast, Troy Tittlemeyer. I'm joined and in the building with these guys from West Texas Boring. The story from West Texas Boring, the story of these gentlemen that we sat with and getting to know their perspectives and know their ideas and know their thoughts and their history. Fantastic show, because there's so much about the operations and then the real stories of how you developed from resorts, right?
Right.
And you from the field and your dad and your history of the field and how that applies, you being a pro golfer, and how you're all combined now, and then you all have this energy, you all have this one drive that's for the company, with the company, putting boreholes in the ground, for fiber, for water, for oil and gas, for the industry, for us to move forward, for progression in the United States at a time where we need it. And it's coming. You know, this wave seems like it's certainly coming. We got plenty of work. Stay safe. I mean, I'm super excited for West Texas Boring. Thanks, you guys, for joining the show, doing this.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
What dropped out for you, man? Talk to me, Luke Bryan. I mean...
Well, I think one of the things about the show today, honestly, is the camaraderie that we have. And we always know we have it. We always don't have the time. You know, these guys are busy. They're busy 24/7. And I really think that, you know, the thing that drives us is not only from Mark and the leadership that he displays, but just the willingness that we have, the drive we have to be the best at what we do.
Man.
And that's what keeps me going, because these guys are putting in 100% every day, doing the absolute best and
happy,
proud. Yes,
you know?
and we have our moments. It ain't all cupcakes and rainbows.
Oh yeah,
you know, there's times where we do have disagreements, but we do it in a way that is best for the company and best for each other. And I think that's what makes this company the best.
Right on,
by far.
Right on, Michael. What do you think, man?
Man, there's just the fun times we can make at work. I can't tell you how many times me and Derek have been on a location just having a ball. Just, I mean, getting work done.
Yeah.
But just making the best of it, you know. And that's with everyone, man. It's there isn't a group of guys that I can't go to here and just have a blast with, you know. You don't always get to work with different crews. When you do, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. That's what makes us us, I think.
Right on.
Just a family. That's all we are, really, a family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome, man. I can't complain. Can't complain.
Right on. Right on.
You know, I'm just proud to be a part of this team. We've got some great people here, and I'm proud of what we built and what Mark started. I've been here a little over 20 years, and you know what's funny is people, they say, "Where do you work?" I said, "West Texas Boring." They say, so you're a boring guy?"
Yeah.
So, no, there ain't nothing boring about what I do, but I get it all the time. But no, it's a great company. Proud to be here.
Right on, right on. Who's going to carry the legacy? Right? Where's the next 20 years going? Where's the next 40 years going? Who's carrying the legacy long past Mark? And what's next? Is there more family, or is there somebody else going on? What's the future look like there?
I would say I think it's these guys right here. It's the Michaels, it's the Derricks, it's the Chris's, it's the Joshes. Those are the men and the people that are here, that have been here, have lived it and breathed it and
right.
Blood, sweat, and tears, man. They're the ones that are going to carry on.
Right on.
And that's what's exciting about the company is, you know, we do look long term, and there's some great things for West Texas Boring coming.
Yeah, I mean, you guys carrying the legacy, you know, with honor and integrity, and you know, moving forward with your life and displaying that with whoever's coming up behind you guys. You know, like, what an exciting future for you guys, man. I can feel it. You know, you carry that legacy from Mark. It's in you, and you're reflecting that, and you've inspired me for sure. And I'm excited for West Texas Boring too, man. This episode is brought to you by Atlas. Atlas is the Permian Basin's leading maintenance and repair service center. We provide full-service, bumper-to-bumper maintenance, repair, and diagnostics for all makes and models of the most in-demand cars, trucks, and SUVs. We also provide the same full-service solutions to keep your fleet running and 100% DOT compliant. Our pump division also provides the industry with the shortest turnaround times, keeping your transfer and injection pumps in the field where they belong. Our technicians and staff are eager to work with you and are willing to do what you need when you need it. Parts, service, and a desire to exceed your expectations are what set us apart from the rest. Call Atlas today at 432-245-5858 or visit us at www.atlas-ustx.com. This episode is brought to you by Bell Geospace. Bell Geospace has the gravity data that you need in the Permian Basin to see the structures below your reservoir, to see the structures in the reservoir and above. It's all connected. It all has a lot to say and a lot to do with how much oil, brine, or gas you're getting. You need the data to make better wells. You got to contact Julianne Sharples, jsharples at bellgeo.com, or go to bellgeo.com, check out their data, check out what they're providing in their FTG, full tensor gravity gradiometry. The data is very high resolution. We did an exciting show, episode 91, with Bell Geospace, interpreting some of that data. Contact them today. Drill better wells. Let's go. This episode of PBE Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Geolog. Geolog offers cost-effective, lab-quality, quantitative, real-time formation evaluation and reservoir characterization solutions to improve well placement, production forecasting, and optimizing of completions. They even have a service that can monitor bit wear while drilling. I've actually utilized their services while drilling wells in the Permian Basin, and we were highly impressed with the data acquisition process and the quality of the interpretations. These guys at Geolog are passionate about the data they collect each day at every well site. They've been doing it for 40 years. They are passionate about drill cuttings, passionate about mud gas data, passionate about what the data means and how the data can add value to an asset. They probably collect the most amount of drill cuttings and mud gas data globally each day of any privately owned surface mud logging company. Geolog always employ a consistent quantitative analytical methodology, whether on the well site or back at the lab. So data collected at one well can be compared in another well. We'll be doing a podcast with Dr. Guy Oliver, Geolog's Director of Energy Transition and Data Science, who will be talking more about what Geolog does and diving more into the types of data they collect. We are officially starting the conception part of the PBE podcast. West Texas boring. I appreciate you guys allowing us in here, bring the equipment.
Absolutely.
And the opportunity to talk to each of you guys and get your story. This is when I get to sit back and I just get to listen. We'll start with Michael. Go ahead, tell us who you are and how you got here and what's going on, man.
Yeah, my name's Michael Contreras. Been here, man. Ryan probably knows more than I do. It's been a while.
I'm pretty sure it's 06, but
yeah. So it's
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
So you're approaching 20 years.
Yeah. I had a little section where I went to work for Halliburton, but man, came right back and been here ever since.
Where'd you come from?
As I've grown up here in Odessa.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
your parents were in oil and gas, or?
My dad. He started out welding. Man, when I was in junior high, we used to live out by Lubbock, a little farm town, Sudan.
Right on.
My dad got a job out here. We moved in after he did, and been here ever since. And he's still welding, so he does the same thing. He works on pooling units.
Right on. So right after high school or during high school, you were just in the fields and getting experience?
No, out of high school, I went to college. I did a couple years. I have an associates of applied science and automotive technology. So
Whoa.
I've always been a gearhead car guy. Anything with wheels, man, I want 6 of them.
Let's go.
I did that for a couple years. Worked at the local Ford, Sul Ford here. Got tired of it. Turned out I don't like to work on minivans and compact cars. So did a little bit of everything, man. Went to working on a drilling rig. Tried that for a year. My parents hated it. My dad hated it. He was a welder, so he's like, man, come work with me.
Get
I
off
was like,
that
all right,
rig.
I'll give it a try. So I went to welding with him, did that for a few years. Met up with one of my buddies who also works here, Curtis, his other field superintendent.
Is that right?
He had just started working here, and he's like, man, it's pretty awesome.
Is that right?
I went down there and started working here. And
Wow.
it's been awesome. It's a little bit of everything here. It's not just you come in and you do the same thing every day, or hey, you'll be in this station today. It's one day you're in Texas, the next day you're 8 hours away. You're doing this, so it's interesting, man. You get to see a bunch of outdoors. I'm an outdoors guy, so
Right on.
That's a lot of it for me, man. We get to see a bunch of cool spots, rivers, creeks.
Right on.
It's awesome. I mean,
You get your counterpart out in the field. The other field supervisor is a buddy of yours for a long time. Like,
yeah, we've been. He's my best friend.
dude,
It's
how'd
awesome.
That worked out.
That makes it even better working.
Yeah.
Here,
You're like, damn it, get on your ass. I'm
Heck
tired of
yeah.
you calling in all the time.
Yeah. No, it's never been that way, man. It's always been, man. There's something to do. From the get go, man. We literally, hey, they got to move that truck. Me and him racing to go get after it. Who's gonna get it first? Oh, who's gonna do this first? It's always been that way. It's always been in good fun, man.
So explain or like break down like what is West Texas boring then? Like what do you do every day? What are you supervising? Like
man, just as far as what we do, we pick up where pipeline companies can't cross. So there's line crossings, line corridors where there's 4 or 5 gas lines, fuel lines, whatever lines there are. Whenever they come in and dig stuff out or trench stuff out with their trenchers, they can't just trench across that stuff. So they call us to come in and make a hole under whatever they're trying to cross.
What?
We pull their product through. They can tie into each end and keep on going.
So you guys make little horizontal wells like under pipes?
It's horizontal drilling, yes sir. It's
what?
It's just like a downhole rig, only sideways.
Man, I didn't know. I was thinking boring, like cylinders, like motor making. I'm like, I'm just coming into this thinking, boring.
It's just downhole drilling, only sideways.
Yeah. My dad was heavy machinery operator in California forever, and it was pipelines. And he constantly doing that under the ground stuff. And
yes, sir.
Right on. Okay,
yes, sir.
That is cool. So, when you go horizontal in a little the machine, how big of a hole can you make?
Almost as big as you want, really. I mean,
really.
Man, the biggest hole I've cut personally has probably been 40-something inches.
Is that right?
I know we've cut a lot bigger than that.
Crawled through that.
Oh yeah. We've had to.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Rochambeau. I don't know. I'm not feeling good about this.
Yeah.
So,
no.
You go.
That's part of the job. It's kind of the challenge. Like we've got to get it done no matter what. We don't pull out of jobs. We don't ever do that. That's not who we are. We've never been that way.
Unless there's a safety issue, of course.
Yeah. Well, safety's always it's got to be number one. I mean, it's
yeah. We talked about this with the Railroad Commission last night. The candidates were talking about how do you improve safety? How's the Railroad Commission involved in that? They're like, well, people and service companies and operators just have to, at the end of the day, stand there and go, you know what? I think this is not safe enough, and we're not going to get it done today. But man, I run an oil and gas lease down in South Texas, and I was the one who put the electrical in. I was the one that was rebuilt this old lease, and that is not an option all the time.
That's right. That's right.
I got to get this done. We're here to get a job done, and I'm gonna teeter on this ladder and just get it done or whatever it takes.
Yeah,
so I mean, it happens, right? How do you? With all your experience, how do you handle that situation? What's your suggestion? To the industry?
First of all, when we come across a problem that big, my first call is Derek.
Okay.
Hey man, I've come to a stopping point. I've exercised all my options that I know have,
Yep. Here's what's going on.
My next call is, hey Derek, well, I need your assistance now. What would you do in this situation?
Right on. Derek comes in, you're just like, all right, what you assess the situation, you try to get it from a different perspective. Maybe they missed something.
Yeah, with all the experience all our guys have, we can put all our heads together and come up with a solution.
Has there been the solution of, just walk, let's just take the day off, let's think about this, let's hold off, and the operator's going, what the hell's going on? Or somebody's calling you, and you're like, hey, we gotta think about this.
Sometimes there's that situation where you just got to step back from it and clear your head and kind of regroup, you know. But we always come up with a solution, and we've always one of our mottos is we don't leave till the job is done, and that one always sticks with me.
Right on. Yeah. Right on. Cool. How far of a service area do you guys have? Like,
we're all anywhere you want to go, man.
What?
Where
are your jobs right now? Like, where are all the jobs?
We just finished up a project. We were in 18 months. We're in Louisville, Kentucky.
What? Kentucky?
Yeah, we had up to five crews working there.
Holy cow!
We had a yard there for 18 months. That job just completed in December, and we brought everybody back. Right after that Louisville, Kentucky job, we started up a job in Commerce, Georgia. So we were out there for, 5 months?
Yeah.
In Commerce, Georgia. Yeah. So we got wheels. We got wheels. We'll go where the customers want us to go.
Wow. Dang. How do you guys get that information out there? How does someone in Georgia contact you in West Texas?
When you do good work, the word travels fast. The pipeline utility world is a small world. And when you have a name like West Texas Boring and you do the kind of work we do, the word just travels fast.
Right on. We got to adjust your mic, put it a little closer. Yeah. Turn it. All right. There we go. Right on. Okay, so we got a good feel for, West Texas Boring, as Michael kind of broke us down and the day-to-day on that. That was pretty fascinating. Your experience of kind of handling out in the field. It's a big deal, the disconnect sometimes between field and the guys in the office, and certainly the guys above the guys in the office, the CEOs. Yeah. And how's communication? How do you guys do that as a company? How do you guys, manage from the field, from the boots on the ground to the decisions that the CEOs or VP, is making? How do you do that?
I mean, as far as field guys, I mean, our communication goes to Derek, and then from there I don't know. He carries it from there. I mean, that's where I go, and then from there he knows what to do from there.
Yep.
Magic happens. He makes the magic happen.
I would say one of the things that Mike and the team does very well is the daily meetings every morning. They're JSAs. That's the opportunity they have to communicate to their teams about opportunities, the hazards, etc., the job, the task, what's happening for the day. So I think that's one way we communicate. And in any company, it's never easy. That's one of the hardest parts of any organization is the level of communication. How does it filter down from the top to the guys in the field? Mm-hmm. And but I think that's, as a company, and any company, especially West Texas Boring, that's a continual improvement opportunity that we see. And again, to me, we do a good job. We can be better. Again, continual improvement is the key when it comes to communication. So.
Right. So what's your story? Let's start from the beginning.
Man, it's pretty interesting from the fact that I didn't know jack squat about boring, HDD, auger boring. I had no clue, honestly, Troy. And I spent 22 years in resort hospitality management.
What?
Dude, it's a crazy story.
You've been all over the world, brother, at these badass resorts?
I've been all over, man, from Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas.
You should be a travel agent, man.
I should by now. You would think I should. Yeah, call brother up. What's crazy is that I was in director of operations for these resorts across the country and working with amazing people, thousands of employees, and I ended up at Horseshoe Bay Resort in just outside of northwest of Austin, Texas. And I spent about 6.5 years at Horseshoe Bay Resort. And the interesting story there is that Mark Jones, the owner of this company, majority owner, he met my wife, who's a realtor, in Horseshoe Bay.
Okay.
And the interesting part about that was that Mark and I became friends, and such a personal guy. The guy is amazing. I mean, he we'll get into more of him later, but it's like he called me and said, "Hey, would you come work for me? Give you an opportunity." Right? And I said, at first I was like, "No way. I know nothing about oil and gas. I know nothing about what you do." And couple months later, he calls me again and says, come on and help me. We need some help here. And so I came on board almost 4 years ago here at West Texas Boring and learned the lay of the land, met these amazing people, Michael and Derek and Curtis's. And, I mean, I can name all these guys because we're very family-oriented. We work hard, we play hard. And, I'll say that, I'll use that term loosely, but it's like we're family here. These guys are amazing people. Right. And I've been around a lot of people. I've had a lot of employees that I've worked with and colleagues, and you won't find any better people here than in the Permian Basin. I'll say that right now. That's the bottom line, period.
There's definitely a culture. There's something definitely special with the Permian Basin. The community, the people have. I did a podcast with the mayor of Midland, and we talked about that. And it's just kind of like you see it. We realize how important this industry is. We realize how important the day-to-day is and what we do, right? And we're proud of that. And it works hard. We make a living by that. And it ain't going nowhere. No. It's not going anywhere. And we're all doing our best. And, man, what a good attitude to have. And some people get offended by that attitude, right? The Texan attitude.
Right.
Hold on. You know what I mean? We're creating the energy that you're using. If you want it to be so convenient,
that's right.
Come out in the boots in the ground. Come out and actually smell this stuff and figure out how it works. And then you might get an attitude. You might get some culture in your life.
Yeah.
There's culture here. There's history here. There's generations of, doing it right and being accountable and having those values. You know what I mean? There's so much to learn from the experience of the Permian Basin. That's why we do this podcast. It's always fascinating to talk to you guys and hear that and hear these stories and how it comes together, dude. Love this.
Well, I think the cool thing too is, we always hear the term brother's keeper. And I think that in this company in particular, and specifically, we live by that. I mean, we do watch out for one another at work and off work.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, that's a testament to the people of the community, to the Permian Basin, the Delaware, the Eagle Ford. Right. That's what makes it special.
Yep. And it has to start from the top down. I wish I could meet Mark, and maybe one day we will do a podcast on Mark just to capture that, capture his persona, who that man is, because you guys are inspired by it. Obviously, the communication in the company's positive. How does that happen? It's not every story that you get. Sometimes people are like, man, it was totally effed up. The communication in the company was bad. No, nothing was transparent. Yeah. So when it comes to information and transparency, right? Communication, like the conversation between you as VP and the CEO of Mark behind the door, that's not the communication or the transparency, in my opinion, that we're talking about. It's the information that you guys are using in that conversation that I think should be transparent, right? Everybody knows what information you have going into that conversation, and you trust that the VP and the CEO are going to make the right call. So you're transparent in information in this company. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and the great thing about this company too is the level of empowerment that we have as a company. I feel like, if the decision came where Michael had to make a decision for the best of the company, we trust Michael to make that decision. And same with Derek as vice president. Even if he's got to make a decision that's for the best of the company, we trust him. And I know Michael, myself, the rest of the team we've got his back. And I think that's what's special about the company.
Right on. Good segue into your story, man. I got to hear it. I know you're a scratch golfer.
Oh man,
come on, dude.
Oh, he is.
Used to be, yeah. My name is Derek Persley. I have a interesting background, as my dad was a golf professional we grew up in a small town in Andrews, just 30 miles north of here.
Yeah.
My dad was the head golf pro there for 25 years. So I grew up, since I was a kid, that's all I've ever known was golf. And I carried
Texas golf.
West Texas golf, yeah. Hit it low, baby.
Let it run.
But I grew up around the golf course. I mean, from a little kid, my dad always had me working at the golf course. I was putting up all the carts at night, picking up range balls since when I was about 6. The members of the golf course would laugh at me because I had to sit on the edge of the golf cart to reach the pedal because I was so little.
The steering wheel?
The steering wheel was above my head. I had to look through the steering wheel to see where I was going. But
There you were, though,
I-
picking up balls, man, doing your
I
part.
still run into people today that knew me when I was that little, and they're like, I remember you when you're a little kid, putting all those carts up. My dad, he'd trust me with everything, like too much, really. Like nowadays, you can't let your kids run in the street, but I was, doing everything. Wherever I wanted to go, I was doing it when I was a kid. So
Right on.
I always had that kind of self-motivation to, get stuff done. And anyway, so I played golf through high school. Did pretty good. We had Chad Campbell. He plays on the PGA Tour. He almost won a Masters. He's won 3 times on tour. We're pretty tight in high school.
Is that right?
And we played a lot of golf together. He went to Midland College, and he's a couple years older than me, but I followed him to Midland College on a golf scholarship. We won a national championship my freshman year at Midland College.
Right
which was good time.
Was it a good match? You guys just crushed them.
Yeah, we did pretty good, man. We won a lot of tournaments.
Just say it.
You're the humble dude.
And then from Midland College, I went on to UTEP in El Paso.
Is that right? Oh,
Yeah.
dude, the Franklin Mountains, man. Those
Yeah,
rocks are
yeah.
legit.
Played. I went there for the weather, and man, they had really good golf team there.
Is that right?
And it was really good experience. Graduated from UTEP there, playing golf. Got a degree in business management.
Okay.
Still wasn't focused on a career at that point. All I was thinking about was golf. So turned pro.
You were going for it.
Played
Golfing every day.
Played 3 years on tour.
Jeez.
And then started a family. So
3 years in.
3 years in, I said, man, I better find a different career. And funny thing, I went to tour school my third year, and it was kind of like, we're gonna do this or we're gonna forget it, So I didn't get through second stage, and so I said, well, I'm done. I'm gonna find a job, but I didn't really know what I was gonna do yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually here in town. I was picking up range balls for, I think, $6.50 an hour.
He still couldn't see
with
over
a
that
degree.
steering wheel.
With a degree. I can see over the steering wheel now. Seriously, I was picking up range balls with a college degree at night, looking for a job during the day.
Yep.
And I ran into Mark at the driving range. I knew Mark from golf. I'd been around Odessa and Midland. He knew my dad and stuff like that, and he just kind of asked me, hey, what are you going to do? And I was like, man, I'm not sure. I've got a degree, but, I'm mechanical, but, all I know how to do is play golf and work on stuff. And he was like, you'll fit right in with me. I said, oh, yeah. So I came to work for him. And that was in 2001.
Whoa.
I never even owned a pair of steel-toed boots before. I never even owned a pair of boots.
Wow.
So
showed up in golf shoes?
Yeah, pretty much. He took me out to a job and dropped me off with a pair of boots, and we just kind of went from there. From day one, I was very interested in the industry, how they could drill under a road and steer that bit across there, and install a pipe under a highway. I was like, man, this is pretty cool,
Yeah, that's modern, Marvel
and there's just
innovation right there.
There's so many things going on that it takes to get that job done. And like Mike was saying, we're not only drillers, we're truck drivers.
Yeah.
We're locators. We're welders.
We're mechanics.
Mechanics. I mean, there's just so many things going on, and like me and Mike are a lot alike like that. Like, we're not just one thing, Yeah, you might be the VP, but tomorrow you might be over there welding casing,
Right
and that's what's interesting about this place, West Texas Boring, and the industry, is there's just so many different things that you can learn and you can do.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not stuck to being, I'm just a welder every day. No, it's something different every day. And that's what keeps us interested in, in this company.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like work, maybe.
I think that's what gives us the edge is our guys that we have out. I mean, we can go out there with 2 guys. We can do a full turnkey job. We've got the operator can dig anything he needs to dig, do the bore, weld the casing, get everything lined up, pull it, clean everything up, and be gone in a day. You know
What?
I mean, that's what kind of gave us that edge. I think is having good guys that lead each crew that can do anything. Machine breaks down.
Let's get on it.
We get our tools, we fix it. I mean, every once in a while, whenever we've reached our end, you know, hey man, I can't fix this any further, or I can't figure it out, then I'll give the mechanic a call.
Right.
For the most part, everything we can fix, and that's one thing we try to show our guys is that I'm not just going to sit on a drilling machine and drill.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to drill. I'll locate. We
Electrical
can do
problem.
everything. Yeah. We do everything we can until we've reached our limit, and then we'll call the mechanic in. That's I think that's been our edge to help us out, because we've got guys that can do anything.
Is that like Mark driving that? Like, that's how we gonna do
I mean,
this?
whenever I first started, I mean, Mark was, you couldn't tell Mark apart from one of the hands. He was sweating, he was welding, he was in the hole, he was digging, he was shoveling. I mean, there was, when you see guys work like that, that's infectious. You see Derek runs around like crazy, and man, that's motivation for us.
Yes,
And
it is.
that's where we get that from.
Yes,
seeing
sir.
them guys do it, and it's just like, man, that's awesome. That's how you lead.
That's
you
right.
lead by example.
Right on.
That's the
That's
fire.
what we do.
That's the fire that
is
drives
the fire,
us.
man.
That
That's
is.
the fire.
Wow.
Like he said, man, he's already been to 2 different locations, and it's like 9 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
The hell?
it's
What are you
that
doing all day?
that kind of, you know. There's no excuse. I mean,
No.
the guys can't come in and say, "Oh man, I can't do this." That's not an excuse, you know.
Right.
It's got to get done. There's a way to do it. If you can't figure it out, let's get our heads together. Let's get it done.
Yep, and that's how the return customers. That's how business. That's how
right.
successful business rolls. Because the operators are going, wait a minute. You know, all of a sudden you can't fix it, and I got to wait 2 days.
Yeah.
And, but you guys are like, no, we got. You know, you
Yep.
just keep going.
Yeah.
You get it fixed. So you're results based, man. I mean, that's such an interesting. I felt like the room got brighter when you were talking about that, because when you're leading by example, a true leader like Mark clearly is.
Yep.
He had this ability to be this reflection that was inspiring. You know, who he was inspiring the group around him. And now you're doing it, and now you're doing it, and now you're doing it, right? The whole building is just like this, like energy feed, and we're gonna do the best today. And it's just, you don't say it, but everybody knows, and that's the energy. That's the level everyone operates.
That's right. I think, we talk about mottos, and I've heard Derek say this: let's be great every day. No matter what comes our way, let's be great every day. And I that feeds down from Mark all the way down, and you can tell just the guys care. They genuinely care.
Yeah, let's be great every shot. That's where you come from.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Now,
That's right.
all right, going back to your story real quick. Do you have your best Juarez, Mexico story? Just want to know.
Boy.
I just want to know.
Which one? Walking down a dark alley and can't walk straight, or what?
You're lucky to be here right now.
Hey, man, it was different back then.
It was a different time.
It was a different time back then. Mexico was good. No, we had a lot of guys from Juarez that were on our team, or we had a few guys, so we had someone to lead us around down there.
Right
But,
on.
man, I remember going to the market down there and drinking quarter beers and eating
Gosh.
chips and salsa. Man, that was awesome.
Wow.
But it's not the same there anymore. You
Wow.
know, it's different.
Wow.
But it was fun. We had some good times down there.
Right on. All right, the history of West Texas Boring, and to Mark, we'll get in a drill down segment of this, kind of the beginning. How does that story go? And please, you guys interact with each other, because I know you've heard these stories and heard the timelines, probably, but maybe something that we miss or a story that is not said. Let's talk about it. Let's rock it back to the very beginning. Where does this all begin?
Well, I'll start, and you guys can fill in. West Texas Boring started by a gentleman by the name of Bill Harrington, and Bill had worked for El Paso Natural Gas as an inspector, and he wasn't ready to retire. So he got to that point, Troy, that he was like, I want to do more with my life. I think at that point he was 60 61, 62, 3 years old, somewhere in there.
Dad's age.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not ready to retire. I want to do something more. So he started developing a boring machine in his garage, and from that point, he felt like he had the opportunity out here in the Permian Basin to do something with it, and he started West Texas Boring. Where Mark comes into play is that Bill Harrington was Mark's grandfather, and so Mark learned the business. Yeah, I think Mark came here around 1979, 1980, and he learned the business from his grandfather, and Mark's, gosh, he's told me so many great stories about Bill, but one of the funny things that I can recall, and I'll share more history, and these guys can jump in, but I recall Mark telling me a story at breakfast one morning that, Grandpa Bill would not let anybody curse. There was never a cuss word said, ever. And if you did, he'd shake your hand, or not even shake your hand, just say, well, you're done. Job's over. Good luck. Drop you off where you're at and move forward. But he was an innovator. He was a leader. He had that mindset that he was going to give it all he got, no matter what. And that's what's so cool about this story is that here we are today, the three of us sitting here with you, Troy, because of Bill Harrington. And then that filtered obviously into Mark, and Mark took the company to another level. And so as these guys talk about Mark, that's pretty much the history as far as how it started.
Was Mark with the same rule?
Mark's a little more laid back.
yeah. We'll put it a little more laid back. But
isn't that interesting? The history. You imagine this man that says a cuss word, and that just turns him out. He just says, "Nope, you're out." I don't care what else you bring to this thing, you're out because of that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
that's an interesting time. That it's a whole nother world in back then.
They,
imagine.
They would even at one point, Bill and Mark would tell me a story about how they'd pick up some guys at the gas station that needed a job for the day. Just, rent them for the day basically. And they'd get in the truck and go to a job and drop them off, at that same station. If they stayed for a couple of days, great. If they stayed for a couple of weeks, I think I recall a story Mark telling me how there was a gentleman that had worked here for nearly 8 or 9 years doing that. It wasn't a large company back then, but it was built and based on hard work, great work ethics, determination, and a confidence that it's instilled in them, and then it filtered down.
How about like stories that you guys remember of the real bad times or stories of the real good times? How did this company ride these incredibly complex waves that were, felt worldwide, right? When oil spikes and when oil crashes, it's nationwide. It's definitely in this citywide, and it's worldwide. These global politics and all that. How you guys remember any stories like that? Just really hard times, really good times.
Mark talks about a story all the time about how he was the only person on the payroll at one point. We had no work, and he basically had no money at one point, and one of our top customers called him and said that he had bores in Arizona, and Mark loaded up by himself and went to Arizona to do bores. And he said that was the make or breaking point of West Texas Boring.
Holy cow.
And he relates back to that customer all the time, and whatever they need, we'll drop everything we're doing for that customer because they saved this company.
Oh, man, I get the chills thinking about that.
Yeah.
How close that this conversation was almost actually not possible.
Correct.
It would never happen. Mark held it together.
He held it together.
Whew, against all odds. I can't even imagine, man. I mean, I would love to sit down and hear that. What was really going on? How did you really do that? Because you get stressed in all the personal ways and all the outside ways, and you held it together, man. And yeah, wow, that's cool. So that's a bummer of a not a bummer of a story, but a success and a real thing. Everything can go, and this company is there. This company's ready to go, and now you're expanding even further. You should have some more stability, even if it did crash. But it looks like it's not going to. Let's be honest, right?
Right.
The price is going up, and it seems to be stabilizing, if not going up even further, because the demand is screaming back the reality of kind of how this COVID thing has gone and where the future is going. Yeah, the new renewables didn't step up. We didn't see the solars, replace these coal-burning cities. Even in America, it didn't happen.
Right.
Apparently, we're not ready, right? It's safe to say.
Safe to say.
that we're just not ready for that technology. So,
Well, even with that, I think we all know how the market's been here in the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Up and down, kind of, or a lot down.
a mystery.
Yeah, just all over the place. Man, we're diverse. We're not just oil and gas. We can go out and do a water line for a rancher. We can work any type of utility.
Yeah. Fiber.
That job in Kentucky, that was a fiber job. So that was nothing to do with oil, gas, nothing. We were setting in fiber optics all around
Internet
Louisville. We did
communication
the backbone infrastructure for Louisville. Yeah, I mean it's not just oil and gas. We've got, man, we can go anywhere and do anything, and especially nowadays with everything going 5G and this and that, and who knows what's going to be next,
Right.
with everything that's getting put underground. Now it's not just we're putting stuff under the ground. Well, there's years and years of infrastructure underground. You can't just dig across it.
That's right.
You've got to bore across it.
Wow.
And it's just nowadays. I've done bores under my own bores before. So we're already getting to that point to where I'm drilling under a line that I've already drilled in.
So tell me a little bit about the technology, how you actually see the subsurface, right? You need to locate these complex pipes that were put in the 70s or some shit, and you're trying to figure out where they are, what depth, how big. What's the technology? Is it sonic?
Sometimes it's witching sticks.
Come on.
Yeah.
You're not lying.
I am not lying. Sometimes all the technology in the world cannot find a water line. You pull out some witching sticks, bam, we got it.
What's the science behind witching sticks?
I have no idea.
You use witching sticks. Do we have a pair of witching sticks that I can see right now?
We were in Kentucky. We were looking for a water line for, we were probably going on 3 days. The water company had no records of their water line. So after a while, we tell them, man, we can't just keep on looking for your line. We're wasting resources and time.
Yeah.
We pull out witching sticks and start following it from the last place we know it's at. And sure enough, it got us to the water line. We found it.
It was crazy.
They had no records of it. I guess the company was saying that one of their mayors had come in and tossed all their paper records or something like that, but they had no idea. They literally said, we have no idea where this water line is, and this feeds this town.
What the
So it's not an option to try to drill around it. We have to see it.
Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, then again, there's locators that find lines that are deep. So I mean, there's the technology's out there, and it's getting better and better.
How does the technology
It's almost
typically
like a sonar type sometimes.
Okay.
It's
sound.
You can put like a power junction box onto a line somewhere where they have what do they call it, Dirk? Where they hook up to the line, like a little test station. Yeah, test leads. So on these lines, they have test leads that come up. You can put power to that box, and it emits a certain ringtone that these machines pick up as you walk across. So you can kind of find lines that way. But they don't always work.
The steel lines are pretty easy for them to locate.
Yeah, ping real hard off that steel.
Yeah, and then a lot of the HDPE lines or poly lines, they'll have a wire on them that they can hook up to and trace the wire.
Little copper line that spiraled through the.
The tough ones are the HDPEs that don't have a wire.
What's an HDPE?
It's plastic pipe. Yeah, and which is used a lot in the oil field. It's just.
If you ever drive down any road around here, you'll see like the 4-inch plastic lines that going down the fence line. Sometimes there's 10 of them. That's a poly. That's HDPE.
A poly HDPE.
Oh, poly and HDPE.
They're the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And fiber's they're pretty good about locating fiber. They have the technology to locate that.
But a poly line with water, is that what was hard to find and you needed the witches?
It was a super old just water line that
Steel?
Steel.
It was a steel line.
Yeah, they had they didn't even know where to start looking for it. That was their
And it
their
fed
deal.
the city?
Yeah.
Gosh dang.
Yeah, it was
pressure on you, huh?
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
mess this up.
It's a mess sometimes in those bigger cities, man. It's a mess. There's lines everywhere. It's
So what so is regulatory for you guys, because you're putting in these lines, and obviously you guys are dealing with how difficult it is to find the old lines. Has the process or policy, are these witching sticks? You know how to use those?
No, they're examples of witching sticks. It's what they look like, but they're usually brass.
yeah.
Oh, those are welding
man.
deals.
What we usually use is also locating flags. Whenever lines go out there or companies go out there and locate their lines, they have to put flags where their lines are.
Okay.
And we use those too. I mean, anything really, really metal, just put a bend in it like this, sometimes a little bit bigger, just hold it in your hand loosely. You're walking,
Come
and then
on.
whenever those things start to come together.
Come on. That's like a
It's-
Ouija
it's-
board shit,
yeah.
man.
I don't know how it
Sometimes
works.
it works.
That's how it works.
I hate when they have to bring them out, but man, it's
And do you like trade off? Because I'm like, I don't know, how loose are you holding these things? What's going on?
Oh,
It's all in the grip,
there's never
man.
just one person. One person finds it. Nah, give me those. Yeah. It's everyone has their turn.
That is
but
funny,
it's
We
sometimes
gotta
that's the way it
film
goes.
that.
Sometimes
Yeah.
that's the way it goes.
We got to get out on the camera and location and watch this happen, and then put a shovel in the ground and see if
yeah,
it's there.
yeah.
Right on. Okay, so back to the question, back to my curiosity, because last night we talked with the candidates for the primary of the Railroad Commission. The next commissioner's seat is up. So Wayne Christian's seat is up, and he might be replaced, or he might be the guy that goes for the next 6 years. And there's three of them, three commissioners, and the commissioner sets policy, right? They're the rules, not the law, the rules, right, of the oil field and how operators run things. And certainly, they have a division that's all about pipe and putting things in the ground. So do you guys work with the Railroad Commission? How's your relationship with the Railroad Commission?
They've got their rules, and we got to follow them.
Right.
I mean,
Who
they've got
sets
set.
Who sets the standards and the policies? And that's a
that?
good
That I
question.
don't know. That's it's just rules we all got to follow.
I've had them come out on my jobs before when we were drilling under creeks, and rivers and stuff, but
Yeah.
typically they're not too involved in our day-to-day stuff.
Okay. What about so the
I mean, that one railroad commissioner, she's too busy riding that pump jack, so
oh
I don't think she's going to be on any of my jobs.
you saw that, huh? Can we get that on the screen real quick in case somebody missed that? Yeah, no, she was there. She was live last night. I thought you were talking about Christy Raddick, and I said, no, okay, not talking about her. I get it. So, all right, so back to the question and really a concern and the reality of what we're talking about. You have really old infrastructure. In some cases, it's actually feeding the water to a city, and it's not recorded. Somebody had to have drawn that line on a map somewhere, but it was lost. That physical recording wasn't digitized. It's not in a computer base or database, right? So now what are the steps to, kind of eliminate those problems of the future?
Well, our process is, first thing we do is we notify 811. So every state has a number or a website, Texas 811, New Mexico 811, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Every state has their locating service. So that's the first step. So you have to do that 48 hours before your job starts. So
Every job you guys do?
every
Wow.
bore we do has to have a one call.
Okay.
So we have someone in our department that does that. Whether you're the contractor or a subcontractor, everyone has to have their own ticket to cover you. So after 48 hours, everyone is supposed to mark all their lines that are in your area. So they mark them with paint or flags. That's when we come in, or our customer goes in, and we actually physically hydrovac every line so that we know where they're at.
Hydrovac.
Yeah, it's a big vac truck that uses high pressure water, and we actually use the water to cut the ground down to the utility.
Oh, right
and
on.
it sucks the material out, and then we can physically see the utility that we're crossing. So then that's when we decide whether we're going to go above it. Most of the time it's below it, and we'll drill at least 3 feet under that utility.
Wow.
It's at least 45 times better than digging with a shovel. It's awesome. It's just high pressure water, like just a
like a
pressure wand.
washer, yeah.
And you have like an 8-inch vacuum tube that comes off the back, a huge vacuum tank. And you set that in the ground and start cutting around it, and it sucks everything in. So, I mean, it's that technology has come a long way. That stuff is awesome.
So if we have a utility that's not marked and we know it's there, then we can call in a no response on the owner of the utility.
Okay.
And if they've missed it, they'll come out and mark it, or they'll contact you.
So 811 has
Yeah.
a database? So you guys lock into okay. So you kind of have an idea of what is there with all the research that 811 is what, federal, or is that a private company that does 811? What is that?
It's
State funded, yeah.
State funded
That's
deal?
correct.
You haven't seen the commercials where
Yeah.
the guy pops the trunk and he's pulling his shovels out,
No.
fixing to do something, and he says, "Did you call 811 before you dig that hole?" You know, and then,
Gets you every time, huh? Commercial. Oh man, I have seen the 811, Texas 811, kind of locating pipe stuff. I have seen
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I have seen that.
You even have to call that, like, if you're going to dig anything in your backyard. Say you want to put in
Whoa.
a sprinkler system, or you want to put in a shop. Even if you're going to put in a fence, you have to call 811, because you're going to be digging anything under like 6 or 8 inches underground.
What?
Well, you have
6
your
or
gas
8
lines, your
inches?
water lines. You have to know where all that's at. Like
6
if you're going to get a
or
shop
8
put in, they have to know where all your utilities are. Make sure you're not going to block nothing. I mean, it's just it's an infrastructure system. They know where everything is underground to a certain extent. There's older stuff that hasn't been marked, or sometimes people put stuff in without saying nothing. It covers your back that way.
Wow.
If you go out to do something and you happen to hit something, if it wasn't marked and you did your 811, it's not on you.
Okay. I get you.
those tickets are good for 14 days in most states.
Okay.
I mean, like currently we have 30 tickets. I have 30 tickets open right
Whoa.
now. So
Damn.
it's just another step, that we
Yeah.
got to do day to
Yeah.
day.
Makes sense. I mean, especially with the old time stories that you're talking about. Do you guys then? So you have a database. You have some mapping software that you use that pulls up all the known lines of an area, and then you start mapping out the job, or how do you?
There's certain cities that have them. Like when I was in Louisville, Louisville had a website you could go to, and it would pull up most of the city's lines, most of them, where you can have an idea. But
Water and sewer.
yeah, it's really up to each company to have track of their own stuff. That way, when they get the 811 call, say, hey, someone's going to dig in your area, they have all their systems to where they can go out and put the flags down so that you can find it. I mean, it's a good scenario, I guess, but it doesn't work in every single one.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, I mean, it works great. You go out there 2 days later, you have flags everywhere,
Yeah.
and you're just looking. You look for the lines, and they have a certain distance that covers like their line, so they can't just put flags down and they be 10 foot off. That doesn't work.
Okay.
We have a certain amount of foot on each side of where their flags are to look. If we look there down deep enough, and we let them know, hey, look, we couldn't find it, and if they don't do anything about it within a certain amount of time, or we can't just not do a job because they can't come out and find their line. What that does, looking in that area, that covers us. Where if we have to get this done, we didn't have any contact from that company. We looked where they said their line was. That kind of takes it off our back. We never do that, but when push comes to shove, if we have to get a line in and they've been negligent to come and find their line or help us find their line, we've covered our, everything we need to do. We go ahead and bore.
So if, like, for this example you had where that line, they didn't know it exists, you guys actually found it, you tracked it, you figured it out, right?
Yeah.
So then do you internally now have a map, and that's something that's digitized and something that exists that says, here it is, we know exactly where this thing is, and really nobody else does?
We worked with a city there, and
So they now have a map. They now know exactly.
they
because
mapped
of
it
what
out,
you-
yeah.
Because of what
Yeah.
you guys provided.
Now, when we complete a bore or a project, we have our own system that profiles that we turn in to our customer when we're done, showing where the pipe we just installed
Right on.
is.
Perfect. Dude. It's like located, down to what some kind of grid, some kind of plat.
It's a grid with a map on it. Shows where it is and
Right
GPS and all that good stuff. So
that's interesting. It's almost like a database worth money. I feel like that much so much information right there that's not really available. Easily.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's very true.
All right, completion part of the show. Let's roll into this thing and let's talk about first. What is the craziest job you've completed? Like, how deep generally do you go? But like, what's the deepest and the longest? Or like, talk to me about a job that you guys have completed that was like pushing the envelope of the equipment, right? Like, really, like, are we about to do this? Are we going to make this kind of bore this deep? Or this rock was really hard, a limestone you had to go through or something?
We've probably got 1,000 stories each.
Well, as far as depth, last year we completed a bore. It was a 16-inch steel pipe, 375 wall thick. It was the bore was 2,400 feet long, and our max depth was 110 feet.
Whoa.
So
what?
That's the kind of capabilities,
you went 110 feet vertical, and then you took off and went horizontal 2,400 feet.
Full curve on a 2,000 bend radius. And if you're not on a bend radius, when I say a 2,000 bend radius, 16-inch pipe, it takes 2,000 feet of it to make a full circle. So we drilled that hole on a full curve, and our max depth was 110 feet deep.
Whoa!
So
that's blowing me away. You guys have some very serious equipment. I was told by a horizontal driller back in the day that you can't go longer horizontally than you can vertically, or there's some ratio that there's some limit where you just can't push anymore out unless you have more vertical. But you went 110 and then a half a mile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell?
The longest drill we've done to date at West Texas Boring was 3,500 feet. 3,500 feet.
16 inch?
Yeah. 16-inch.
Jeez.
16-inch pipe, yeah.
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 That's a big freaking hole,
right? Man.
Wow. And how about the hardest rock you guys ever come into contact with? Anything crazy, like just breaking bits, can't cut it?
Yeah, I would say it was under the San Saba River.
Saba River.
Yep. It's granite.
Whoa.
And, it was just melting bits.
Whoa.
Yeah. That rock was legit. I think it took us 3 pilot bits to get across there.
Shoot.
Yeah. So, yeah, if anybody wants to drill the San Saba River, I think I'd just stay away from that one. But we got it. We got the job done, right?
Wow. Yeah, we are sitting in West Texas Boring's office about to watch their TikTok account, so you can follow them on TikTok. But pictures and videos of kind of how this technology works. So we're going to tune in, watch this thing. Feel free to talk into the mics while we're watching this. I might have some questions.
It's amazing that this social media has really developed over the years. And when we brought McKaylee McNabb on as our director of marketing, the first thing that she did was start to create a real national presence for us within our social media opportunities. And so
1.7 million views of that latter one.
Correct.
What's going on there? I want to watch that one.
That
2.7 million views. Look at you guys. TikTok famous.
Yeah, this one's in rock where the reamer they were pushing it out.
Let's watch that. Oh my
this
gosh.
Is real
this one right here was in Artesia, New Mexico. We were drilling dual 36-inch steel lines on grade. These boards came out within an inch where they were supposed to be.
Is that right? Yeah. The precision's incredible.
Yeah.
Who's counting on the cement there?
This one here's
what is that?
That's us cleaning our mud.
What?
So we reclaim our mud while we're drilling, and that's the cuttings coming off the cleaner. So
That's foam.
We reuse all the drilling fluid that we're drilling with.
What does that? What does that actually feel like?
It's,
the
it's
texture.
just
sand.
It's just dirt. It's,
Okay.
it almost feels like Play-Doh.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's coming from formation
How about-
mostly, right? And water. You guys are mixing up chemicals and water to keep solid. Keep it from getting too messed up.
Little drone shot here. That's a 100,000 pound rig that it'll pull 100,000 pounds.
Wow.
That cleaner right there is what's cleaning the fluid as we're reclaiming it.
So pause that for a second.
I can't take that view analytics.
Oh, that's kind of annoying TikTok, but that's all right. So, all right, we're looking at the actual.
The drill is the yellow drill there. It holds the rods on it, has a self-loading rod loader.
Oh, yeah, you can see the rods on the
Yeah.
side.
And then there's a pump in that pit up front.
Okay.
We'll pull the mud out of there as it's coming out, clean it, and it goes back to the drill so we can reuse it.
To get it back at the drill bit so it's cooling and doing
Yep.
what it needs to
Yep.
do. And that 100,000 pound deal does all that? It's got a shaker, it's got it's recycling the mud.
It has that drill has a pump on it that's capable of pumping 250 gallons a minute
Wow.
to run the tool. And when the mud comes out of your borehole there, we'll pull it from the pit with a pump,
Yeah.
clean it on that green cleaner there, and then it goes back to the rig.
Okay, so it's coming up onto this deal on the side of this
Yeah.
trench. Okay. All right. That's actually cleaning it, bringing back the clean to the drilling.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so you own both of those
Correct.
deals.
Yeah.
Sheesh. And you guys run the trucks? You guys own the trucks, or you guys pay? You guys
We own all the equipment.
All the equipment.
Yeah.
All
we
your
do
guys doing this.
We do our own trucking,
setting.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah, we're full turnkey service.
You guys got drillers that have been sitting and putting a bunch of hours on this specific drill rig.
That's me in there. That's
Yep.
Is that right?
That's Mike in there
There
running
you
that
go. Who's that standing next to it?
It's probably an inspector.
yeah.
Y'all hiring?
We're always hiring.
We're always hiring.
Always hiring.
Absolutely.
All right.
We're getting ready to go to a job fair here at the Marriott in Odessa, February 22nd, and we're looking forward to hopefully getting a few people.
That one that's turning the 12.6.
Oh yeah, look at that thing.
That's a
Whoa.
50. That's a 54-inch reamer
Oh, look at
cutting
that.
a hole. 54-inch reamer. We're gonna put. I think we put 40. Maybe it's a 52-inch reamer. We're gonna pull in 42-inch steel pipe in that bore.
Shit. Wow, look at that thing. Wow.
He's
Look at it
pumping-
shaking.
He's pumping fluid and cutting the hole at the same time. The fluid and the mud carries the cuttings out and cleans the hole.
Are you purposely making it rattle like
No,
that?
it's
and
just
shit?
because it's just
Okay.
starting in.
Yeah, then it smooths out.
Once it gets up in the hole, it'll smooth out.
Wow, man. Like what
Get
kind
that
of
one.
horsepower are we talking about?
No, the left one. Yeah.
Well, on those, it's not really horsepower. Like it doesn't really the correlation between the motor and the power it puts out. What brings the power is the hydraulics.
Oh,
So the
yeah,
the motor just runs pump after pump after pump, and we have anywhere from 4 to sometimes 6 pulling motors. To move up and down the track. That's where you get your pull.
Okay.
And then you have 3 to 4 rotation motors that actually get your spin. So they have lots of torque and pull back. So it's kind of the hydraulic system that they have. But it's amazing what these things can do. One of the jobs we did, that right there shows he's doing his first cut, and the rock actually broke as he was getting ready to cut through the wall. So you can see how much he's cut. You can see how it cuts in, but the rock broke because he was pulling on it.
That is such a cool picture.
Yeah, that's a cool yard piece for sure.
So when they start the bore, they drill the initial pilot hole across, which they can steer it. So they can make it go right, left, up, down, all the way across.
Wow.
And
Rotary
once you
steerable
Yep.
deal.
Yeah, and we can locate exactly to the inch how deep it is and where it's at.
GPS built little computer on the front of that thing.
Basically, there's a transmitter inside the drill head. Once they punch out, we take that tool off and we put a reamer on that has cutters on the opposite side. So we rotate and pull back to the rig to cut to cut the final size hole.
Oh, whoa.
After that's done, we push back through the hole. After it's cut, we hook up to the product and pull it through with the machine.
Gosh, dang, man. You guys are really thinking about this.
This one here, this is the initial pilot hole we're talking about. They're punching out right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
man. That's
pumping fluid.
What size hole was that? That seemed pretty
that
small.
was a small rig. It's
Yeah.
only a 5-inch hole. They're punching out.
Yeah, one of the cooler jobs that I did was in Kentucky. It was a 3,200 foot. So we're set up in the middle of town. Like usually we're set up like in gas stations. We're set up right in front of a Thornton's. What? So I mean, it was cool because I can go in and get a snack whenever I wanted to. I'm a sugar guy, so man, I was in heaven. But we're drilling down probably about 50 foot, and in Kentucky there's a lot of rock, hard rock.
Okay.
I was able to drill out about 2,500 foot before I started to lose push. I couldn't steer because we're so far out. So we had another rig set up on the opposite side, and we had to drill down, and we've got about a 6-inch hole. So we had to start up. We drilled about another almost 1,000 foot to meet up, but we were actually able to meet. We're about 50 foot deep. We actually intersected the hole, which for me, we don't have to do that very often. I mean, it can be done, but man, it's just that was
pretty cool.
That was a cool one.
That's really cool.
So that one ended up being 3,200 foot long.
Jeez.
And that was doing the fiber stuff. That was, to me, that was pretty sweet.
And how big of a hole was it?
About a 6-7 inch hole. We were just doing our pilot on one of those 100,000 pound rigs.
I mean, I wouldn't even probably be able to take 2 knives and make them touch through a cake. You know what I mean? You're doing it.
Yeah, it was pretty stressful. That's what made it such a cool job. Is if we didn't hit,
What do you do?
we keep on drilling. Try to drill
Try to go the
3,200 foot out the other way.
That
So
was the answer.
we were, man, we hit it dead on. So man, we were pumped as the groups. Man, whenever we started pushing real fast, man, that was awesome. That's one of those moments where it's like, man, that's pretty crazy. We did some cool stuff down there.
What a moment, man. What a moment. Well, it's cool to know, like, talking about completion, we can wrap it up. It's not just oil and gas, right? You guys have the history and the experience and obviously the team that is anything that needs to be done for locating, boring, and helping with pipelines, water, ranchers, oil and gas, obviously being in West Texas. But, you kind of have a fail-safe there. And the company seems for sure big enough and stable enough and strong enough to stand what's to come. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'll say this. We were talking about this the other day in one of our meetings that if you look back a few years ago, the amount of oil and gas business that we did was right around probably 90% of what we did. And I can say that with the leadership of Derek and like Michael and Mark, the crew that's here, we diversified into more of what we're doing today. And again, not just focused on the Permian and the Eagle Ford Shale and the Delaware, but more of a national branding. And so, like Derek said earlier, we're willing to go where we got to go to do the job, and we'll do it safely and efficiently and effectively and do it the best of our ability. And that's what's so cool about these guys is that we saw the opportunity to diversify, and we did it.
Successful, yeah.
And a big part of that too is Chris Slayton.
Chris Slayton.
Chris Slayton is one of our vice presidents. Also, he's of South Operations. We have 2 yards. Our main yard here is in Odessa. The other yard is down in Converse, Texas, south of San Antonio. And
cool.
But Chris is a big part of our operations, where he's out there wheeling and dealing. He has got great connections. And has really helped the company diversify. And he joined us back in 2015. And we just recently added a new director of telecommunications, Josh Gruver. And Josh joined us, 60 days ago. So, and his opportunity with the company is to really develop the fiber world for us. And so, again, we continue to grow, and we're excited about the future for West Texas Boring.
Right on. It's a big deal. We talk about that all the time, how exciting it is moving forward, right? Everybody seems to kind of have shaken off what this last couple of years is, and we have this vision, and you guys have a team. You guys are ready for whatever, comes. Are you worried about anything with the oil and gas industry, in particular with, the latest on critical infrastructure? That's a big topic, with this polar vortex, and, is that going to happen again? And if it does, how are we ready for it? The earthquakes. What do you guys think about the oil and gas industry? What's your perspective right now?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, everything gets improved every day, safety-wise. I mean, you look back 10 years ago, the way we used to do stuff, we were crazy doing stuff the way we did back then. You look back 20 years. I mean,
oh man.
You saw people in flip-flops. You saw people in tank tops. I mean,
the A-train.
Look at some of those drilling rig videos where, there's a guy out there just covered in mud in a tank top, just regular pants. And that's just, we constantly improve. Safety's the head of the forefront. I mean, that's right. What's spearheading it all, just safety. Everything just working safer. And that makes new technology. That makes everything easier, better, faster. And that, in our industry, for sure. I mean, you look back 15 years ago, what we were drilling with compared to what we have now, right. Man, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
No comparison at all.
There's always going to be a demand for oil and gas.
Yeah.
But West Texas Boring is making the steps to diversify this company to where we need to be. We're water, sewer, fiber, gas distribution. There is a high demand for HDD. In this day and time with, the infrastructure is, like you said, gas distribution. You got old gas pipes. It's got to be replaced with HDPE, poly. There's a high demand in the city to get that stuff replaced.
So, one of these concepts that happened last night with the Railroad Commission and people talking about this is the critical infrastructure. All right, so you're building a new facility, and the Railroad Commission now has a policy that says it needs to be winterized. This location, this deal needs to be winterized. Now the operator's going to go, shit, I got another $100,000 on this facility cost because I got to wrap all my pipes. I got to do, what does winterizing actually mean in the pipeline business? What are they actually doing? What are some of the tactics to winterize the pipes to make sure it doesn't freeze, it doesn't break in severe cold weather like we had with Winter Storm Uri, for example?
Man, well, you saw what happened, right? Everyone shut down. People didn't have water for weeks. Right. People didn't have gas for weeks. I mean, we literally have water lines exposed, running outside on top of the ground, on top of buildings. That was a big thing that we noticed working in Kentucky is they have everything winterized. I mean, everything is made to function in cold situations, where up here we're just not made for it.
A lot of that is the infrastructure. The water lines they're old. They're put in too shallow, and they're old pipes. So that's when you run into the freeze problem and the pipes breaking in town. They're too shallow because they were put in 1940.
So it's more important to go back to the old stuff and fix it than stress about what's coming in new.
Well, they're not deep enough. If the pipes are deeper, they're insulated.
By nature.
The ground, they insulate them. Yeah. When you have a water line that's 12 inches deep, it's a main line in Odessa, Texas. That's when the temperature gets to negative temperatures, which it rarely does, but when it does, we have issues.
Wow. But if it was 24 inches.
Well, if it was 5 foot deep like it should be,
whoa,
then the ground will insulate it, and it's good quality pipe, not 50 years old.
Yeah.
So
wow.
You've got to attack both fronts, though. I mean, all the new infrastructure, of course, make sure it's up to snuff, but also you can't just. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to go back and take care of all the old stuff. I'm pretty sure it's something that they want to do, but that's just going to take time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But that's kind of what we do. I mean, we drill water lines, we drill sewer lines. I mean, it's stuff that's going to happen in time. But that's what we do. That's what we're going to be here for.
Last thing for completion, then we'll do the intro. So in operations, and like I said, I've run a little oil and gas thing. I'm always talking to people that I know, and this one comes from conversation with Anthony. The mindset that an operator has to have in operations is, if it can go wrong, it will. It's going to go wrong, right? That's the mindset you have to have, and those are the solutions you drive forward with. If it can go wrong, it will. So how are we going to fix this now? Let's just assume that it will go wrong. Is that kind of how you approach things too? Is that kind of the, a safe mindset for operations?
Yeah.
A little too conservative, maybe?
Man, whenever I go into a job, and it all, I've done it enough to where I know what my equipment's capable of. I'm not going to push my equipment further than, I'm not going to do more than my machine can do. Sometimes you get into situations where you just don't know. Something happens. There was a line there. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. You try for the best, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then if it doesn't, you figure out how to make it work.
Right.
Yeah, it's there's just too many variables in every single job.
Right.
To think of everything.
Right.
But man, we've done it long enough, and
right.
we kind of know what our area is like.
Yep.
So it's not really too big a stress.
Yeah, you rely on your experience.
Mm-hmm.
You rely on what that is. How do you guys find new tools? How are you researching and finding, what's the best next drill machine or the next drill bit? Who's doing that for the company?
Me and Chris, our South Texas manager, we go to trade shows.
Cool.
Probably 3 times a year, where they introduce new equipment and new technology. And
perfect.
It's kind of one of my niches is I try to stay on top of that, so we can have the latest and greatest stuff for our guys.
Yeah, that's one thing I do say, man, we have the best equipment, absolutely the best. I'm always on our guys to keep it clean and keep it running good, stay on top of it, keep it maintenance. Man, we have the best equipment.
It's got to make a huge difference. Your job's getting done.
It does,
faster.
absolutely.
Right, you're reliable.
Yeah.
You're not working with a bunch of old beat down shit. How did you guys afford that? I mean, obviously the success of the company is able to pay for that. That's expensive. It's hard to do, but you're doing it, so that's cool. Right on. That's the show.
All right.
Awesome.
Right on. Anybody want to sing some? You want to do karaoke now? You want to go get drunk? Let's go get something to drink.
Guitar Jones.